Time now for Fantasy Football Today for CBS Local Sports. I'm Jamey Eisenberg. That's Dave Richard. That's Heath Cummings. We're giving you starts and sits at quarterback, running back, and wide receiver to help you dominate your fantasy leagues in week number 11. Let's start at the quarterback position. The old man, Philip Rivers, has been struggling a little late. Will he bounce back against the Chiefs in Mexico City?
He's bounced back before after bad games. I think he does it again. This should be a high-scoring game between the Chiefs and the Chargers. That's what they've been in the past, and in those games, Rivers, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, each of those past 2 games. And the Chiefs have allowed at least 22 fantasy points to 4 of the last 5 quarterbacks they faced. The one that didn't do it was Joe Flacco. You kind of know why Joe Flacco can't get the job done. He's not even the starter anymore in Denver. Philip Rivers, the starter in L.A. He's going to be awesome.
The last time we saw the Patriots defense, they were chasing Lamar Jackson all over the field. Will they have success against Carson Wentz this week?
I don't think Carson Wentz can run like Lamar Jackson. And you look at what quarterbacks have done against them through the air, it's been terrible. They haven't allowed a 200-yard passer since week 4. No quarterback has thrown multiple touchdown passes against them. I would sit Carson Wentz for Nick Foles, for Jacoby Brissett, and for Kyle Allen.
All quarterbacks that have a higher ceiling this week, especially with a banged-up receiving core in Philadelphia. At the running back position, I love the opportunity to start Devin Singletary, and so do you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are concerned about the fact he only had 8 carries last week. They just didn't run the ball enough. He still led the team. He was still the lead back, and they are going to run a lot more against a bad Miami Dolphins team that needs to stop winning games. I expect 15-plus touches for Singletary and a score.
South Florida kid coming home. Hopefully will do some damage to the team he may have grown up rooting for, and he should be better than a guy in Arizona, Dave, that's been struggling of late.
Yeah. David Johnson's been doing damage to fantasy teams, and he's been doing damage to Arizona. He was benched because of a fumble last week, but I wonder if Cliff Kingsbury pulled him because he just doesn't look like himself. He's clearly banged up, looks slow. He doesn't look like the guy I drafted with a top 20 pick. You're going to see Kenyon Drake get more work in this game against San Francisco. It's a tough matchup to begin with, but I think Drake is better than David Johnson until further notice, until we see David Johnson play like the DJ of old.
And 2 weeks ago, Kenyon Drake had over 150 total yards and a touchdown against this 49ers defense. That was with David Johnson hurt and not playing in that game. At the wide receiver position, Tyrone Williams hasn't scored in 2 straight games. Does he get back in the end zone this week?
I think he does. The Cincinnati Bengals pass defense just has not been good of late. 4 touchdowns to wide receivers over their last 3 games. 3 of those 4 touchdowns had been from 30-plus yards out. Big play for Tyrone Williams. Gets him into the end zone. Gets him into the good graces of fantasy managers who have stuck with him.
And he does what Marquise Brown did last week with a long touchdown reception against this Bengals defense. Let's talk about Terry McLaurin. Heath, you don't love him this week?
No, and I love the matchup. I love the wide receiver, but he has been so bad with Dwayne Haskins. He only has 89 yards in his last 3 games combined, and Haskins has almost as many completions to their team as he has to McLaurin in his young career. I just can't trust him until I see something from Haskins.
Understandable, but I actually feel like Terry McLaurin's going to have a good game this week. We'll find out if that's the case coming off a bye. Haskins prepared to start. It's really a play against the Jets secondary, but I can understand why you could be scared of Scary Terry. So to recap, we have our starts: Philip Rivers, Devin Singletary, and Tyrone Williams. The sits are Carson Wentz, David Johnson, and Terry McLaurin. These have been your starts and sits for Fantasy Football Today for CBS Local Sports.